Our very first story, and some commercial drivers are on a nationwide sit-down strike today. Now, the action is in protest over what they term unfair treatment by the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, the DVLA. Now, the Ghana Committed Drivers Association say their activities the activities at the DVLA have been frustrating their business.
If you make a law of 195 regulations, so won't you go there and prepare? Even my brother, if you have a nice lady, won't you prepare your house before you take that lady there? You will prepare before you take that lady there.
But if it was done, if the law went through in 2012 and we are in 2015, that's about 3 years down the line. Is that not enough preparation?
In fact, this law is a deadly law which has been imposed on drivers for some people to get money out of it, and we are not going to accept it. It must be sent back to the parliament for amendment, proper amendment. Call all Ghanaians to sit down for us to make a proper law for the road traffic.
What's wrong with this law?
In fact, most of our roads are unmotorable. See the motorway. Is it a motorway? Look, you see, outskirts of Accra, from the main roads, all the roads are not good. For the DVLA to come out and tell me before I'll obtain a roadworthy sticker, I have to pass on a computerized machine for the machine to pass me before they will give me a sticker. My friend, we must be serious in this country. You see, they didn't think of it before bringing that machine there. Telling me before I obtain driver's license, I have to go pass through some driving schools. Where are the driving schools? Are they better than us? Are the driving school better than us? They are not better than us. And because of money, I should go out there to pay money to the driving school. It's not free to. So we are asking the government, even we the drivers in Ghana since independence, what initiative or what benefit have we got from the government? You see? So what is going on? We will never go and sit in front of computer like we are educated. We will be in tie like you and then sit in the offices to work. I don't know whether they've blocked it or, in fact, this thing must not go on. When we were announcing, we tried to comport ourselves so that park your car, so that if the passengers are stranded, then that they will hear our voice. In fact, they are terming as if we the drivers, we are not human beings in Ghana. But we hold the nation. We the drivers hold the nation. The largest economy, we hold it. For instance, look at the VAT, vehicle income tax. Count a number of passengers' cars in Ghana here. Taxis pay 12 cedi every quarter. Trotro 20 cedi every quarter. Other cars, some is pay trailers and them. They are paying 250 Ghana. And them count all this money. Whether that money goes, the laws, as we are speaking now, they should come out and tell us who are those who make that law. They should come out and tell us those who made that law, whether it is go out to the parliament, even the parliament. Most of them don't know this law.
Well, let's get the latest on this from our reporters on the ground. Matilda Womeka joins me now from Ashaiman. Matilda, good afternoon. What's the situation now at Ashaiman?
Okay, Chetarina, I would say that a number of the drivers have started loading their vehicles now, which some of them, of course, are not happy with what the other colleagues are doing, because they believe it's a collective decision that they all took, that today they are all going to embark on this strike for government to listen to their demands and respond as that. But some of the drivers have already started loading. Kaneshi, Circle, Ada drivers have already started loading. So most passengers who were stranded earlier have started leaving the station. We've been speaking to some of these drivers who have started loading. They tell me that their leaders, the GPRT, have been speaking with them for them to understand the situation, that it's not about embarking on this strike that will make government listen to them. So some of them have accepted the demands that their leaders have told them. So they have started loading. And one thing they tell me also is that their leaders have also been speaking with the DVLA, who is going to make this directive quite flexible for some of them. So they believe that if these results are coming true, then it's a good thing for them to start doing their work now. So as I speak now, most of the drivers have started loading to their various destinations. But information I'm also taking is that some drivers from the Ajekujo station, which is not part of the main station, have been arrested. We are yet to find out on what grounds they were arrested and how many of them have been arrested. So from here, we'll be going to the Divisional Police Command to get all those details on that.
I see. I understand you have a few drivers also by the car. Can you interact with just a few of them, just about 2 or 3 of them?
Well, some of them do not want to go on record now as we speak, but I spoke with some earlier who shared their frustration with me. Those who are not happy with the directive think that their colleagues have sabotaged them. But as we speak now, it's not possible for me to get some of them to speak with me live because they do not want to speak now. But I'm sure with time I'll get some to speak to and then bring you that details.
Sure, Matilda. Thank you very much for that update. That's Matilda Wemeka reporting live from Ashaiman. Well, when we go to the major stations in Accra, the atmosphere is polar opposite to the chaos witnessed at Ashaiman. Now, it was a picture of serenity when my colleague Francis Aban visited the Circle Lorry station this morning. Mates leaned calmly on their Benz buses and human traffic was low, seeing that the rush hour was largely over. Authorities at the station, who refused to speak on camera, said they were not part of the strike action since they did not belong to the Association of Committed Drivers. Now, passengers at Circle were also oblivious to the transport woes of people stranded at Tema and Ashaiman as a result of the strike. Well, my colleague Kemini Nyamani Amano spoke with DCOP Beatrice Zakpa, who is the Tema Regional Police Commander.
Most people, if you go on the Michelle Camp Road from Ashaiman to the runabout, the traffic extended beyond Michelle Camp, and it was virtually at a standstill. So when we came in here, apart from trying to keep these people within the yard so that they don't get into town, we also wanted to make sure that other people move about freely. If you want to demonstrate, you don't want to work, you don't stop other people from working. So fortunately, their leadership has spoken to them. We have spoken to them, and they seem to understand. For now, looking at the crowd that is here, they are not violent. There is no stone throwing. There is no destruction of property. But Ashaiman being what it is, normally these things we want to react very quickly to them, because if you allow them onto the streets or you allow them to go into town, other people hanging around, criminals, other people will join in, and that is when they start the burning of ties. Sometimes they start breaking into people's shops and whatnot. So that is what we are trying to avoid. That's why you see this like this.
Okay, so how prepared are you for such a situation in this hospital?
As you can see, we are here with all our crowd control gadgets. We are very prepared. If anything happens, we have all the necessary crowd control equipment to handle them. Yes. The soldiers are here. You see, normally they will come with weapons, but they are always a last resort. Until it gets out of hand and the police cannot control it, then that is when they will come in. But if not, if anything happens now, we will not use live ammunition.
The driver is saying this is indefinite, which means that the situation may be like this for a very long time. What is the police going to do about it?
We have told them emphatically that this is an unlawful demonstration because they have not notified police. We are not in a lawless country. There are laws governing all these things. If you want to demonstrate, the law says that you notify the police. At least you give us 5 days notice. That is to make sure that we put the necessary arrangement into place. This deployment was done as an emergency, but it should not be so. We have told their leadership to tell them that if they continue with this kind of thing, if anybody does anything wrong, you'll be arrested and prosecuted, because this is an unlawful demonstration. It is just because of the nature of this place. That is why we are trying to keep them. So far, nobody has misbehaved. That is why we are keeping them. But we have told them the implication of what they are doing. So if they want to demonstrate, they have the right to demonstrate, but they should go by the law.
Well, let's get some more live feeds now. Kwete Nate is at the Tema Community 1 station here, and he joins me now over the telephone. So, Kwete, we understand some drivers have been picked up by the police. How true is this? Hello, Kwete.
Some 3 drivers have been picked up by the Ashaman police. They were chanting as I was told, and from nowhere the police swamped in on them and picked 3 of them. So that's what I've currently gathered. I also understand that some of them have been injured and have been taken to the hospital. I went to the Tema General Hospital to run checks, but no one has been brought there. So I'm moving to the Ashaman Polyclinic to check whether any of those drivers have been brought there.
I see. So do we know for what offense they might have been picked for?
I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I think it had to do with the disturbances they were creating.
Okay, and these injuries suffered by these persons you speak of, were they injuries sustained as a result of clashes between themselves and the police, or probably themselves and any other persons?
What I'm being told was that it was as a result of the clashes between them and the police, but I haven't seen these victims myself with my own eyes, so I wouldn't be able to tell the degree of injury they've suffered. Okay. Until I see them. I'll finish you with the details later.
All right, Kwete Nate, thank you very much for that update. That's Kwete Nate reporting there from Tema. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, Rudolph Beckley, has been explaining the issue at hand. Well, he spoke to me earlier on News Desk.
Parliament passed the law, that is the legislative instrument L-I-20 180 in 2012. The object of that particular legislative instrument was to further enhance and promote road safety. So therefore, there are quite a number of provisions in that particular legislative instrument that requires that upon implementation, safety is injected into the road traffic stream so that all road users can have breathe a sigh of relief in terms of safety. So quite a number of measures that the LI has indicated must be implemented by the DVLA. Specifically, issues with regards to intensifying our examination platform. You observe that the law makes it clear that before you acquire a license, you must go through 3 different kinds of tests. Before you mount our platform, you need to have a little bit of literacy, to be a reading and writing skills, to be able to pass the exam. So that when you come onto our platform, you don't even need to type. All you need to is to click on the right answers, and whether you pass or not, the computer will tell you the literacy level in this country. And therefore, we have prepared our platform to seal those literacy levels. All we ask is that before you come onto the platform to take the exam, you should have a reading and writing skills to be able to interpret what is on the platform. We are meeting with the driver unions today at 3 o'clock at a meeting to discuss all these issues. You know, when the matter came up, one would have expected that at least the concerned or the aggrieved drivers will send a petition to the DVLA for us to work on. We have never received any petition from any driver union, and therefore even in our attempt to find out their location, to have a dialogue with them, proves very futile. So we are hopeful that today's meeting with a lot of drivers' union will resolve this impasse. Our doors are open for any union to register their grievances with. I don't know why the concerned taxi drivers or public transport unions will not send their grievances or send their petition to us for us to sit and then address.
And away from that, patients who visit the Kolebu Teaching Hospital from today should be prepared to pay more for some services it renders to patients. Now, according to a statement from the hospital, Parliament has approved for ministries, departments and agencies, including the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, to revise their fees and charges. Ghanaian adults will pay as much as 63 Ghana cedis to pick a folder and see the doctor at the polyclinic department of the hospital. Foreign adults will pay 126 Ghana cedis for similar services. Now, children, on the other hand, will pay 42 Ghana cedis for folder and consultancy. According to management of the hospital, the revised fees will enable the hospital to maintain and improve the services they provide to clients. And my colleague Hannah Odame is at the hospital and joins me now with more. So, Hannah, has this new directive taken effect? These charges are they being rolled out?
Can you please speak a bit up? I can barely hear you.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I was asking whether these new charges have taken effect.
Exactly. We were in the hospital. We were in the Kolebu Polyclinic and then Kolebu Hospital, and the charges have taken effective this morning. And we got to speak to some of the clients and patients. Some of them, a lot of them did not know about it, even though the hospital said that they had done a lot of sensitization and then sent out information. Some of them did not know. So some had to pay, those who had the extra money, because initially, if you were paying 12 cedis, you'll have to pay 42 cedis now. That's an increment of 30 cedis. So imagine you come to the hospital, you don't have that extra money. You will have to go home. And so that's the situation of some of them who had to go home because they did not have the money. But those who had to pay, even though they were not too happy that the increment was just too much. They don't mind the hospital increasing their charges so they can give them improved services. But they shouldn't they shouldn't just increase it so much.
So from what I gather from you, some patients were turned away because they didn't have the amount of money required to cater for these additional charges.
They were not turned away. The patients did not have the money. So when you do not have it, you can't beg the hospital to give you services. So they have to go home. Some said they will go home and look for the extra 30 cedis and then come back. And then some too who said they do not have will resort to maybe going to the pharmacy for maybe some sort of first aid. There was one woman who said that when she comes to the hospital, because it was just 12 cedis for folder and consultation, she would just pay for it without using her insurance card, even though she had. But when she realized the increment, she decided to use her insurance card for the first time because there was no way she could pay the 42 cedis, for instance.
I see. Hanodame, thank you very much for that update. That was Hanodame reporting live from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Now, still on health, the Ghana Medical Association is threatening an industrial action in July if its members' conditions of service are not negotiated and signed by June ending. Now, it accused government of failing to provide their terms and conditions of service more than 4 months after making the demand.
Ghana Medical Association says in a communique issued at the end of the 56th Annual General Conference of the association in Takoradi last year, it drew government's attention to the fact that its members working with the Ministry of Health were without conditions of service. According to the GMA, government has remained unconcerned about the applied. At a news conference Sunday, the doctors said the public must not blame them if they withdraw their services after June. President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Kwabena Opukwedu says their patients have been stretched beyond the normal by government.
The GMA holds government to its area promise to meet the deadline. The National Executive Council hereby affirms that the GMA stands by its 30th June 2015 deadline. The GMA would like to communicate the following roadmap to its members, governments, and the general public. 1. All members should look out for regular communication on this subject from the National and Divisional Secretariat. 2. All members should attend monthly divisional meetings beginning Friday, 5th June 2015 for sensitization and planning towards the deadline. 3. There will be a National Executive Council meeting of the GMA in the next couple of weeks to assess any developments. 4. The divisional executives of the association in the various regions will continue to engage the general public on this subject. The general public and all stakeholders should take note of the fact that the GMA has been patient enough and therefore should hold government responsible for any disturbances in the industrial front after this deadline.
Richard Kojunakon's report for Joy News.
Joy News today, listen shortly right after this. Workers at the West Hills Mall in Accra still live in fear a week after a robbery incident there. Now, workers contend security personnel at the mall are not enough to keep the premises safe. Abigail Adumakoinchi visited the mall and reports patrons are equally dissatisfied with security there.
Managers of Silverbird were not around when the news team arrived at the West Hills Mall. Attempts to get an update from the Silverbird workers on the incidents proved futile. Management of the West Hills Mall and that of Silverbird both refused to talk to me, and They rather showed me the place where the incident happened, although they declined any video coverage. For what I saw, I can only say that they have beefed up security around the premise where the incident happened, and the place had been cordoned off, and also the blood stains from the victim had been cleaned. But I also saw that the door leading to where it happened had been developed in such a way that you can lock from both inside and out. Initially it wasn't so. You could only lock from inside, and you would need a key to open it when you are inside, and when you get in it just locks, but with the key you can open it to go out. But when you're coming from the outside you can just open and enter. So that is why the police could arrest the 2 armed robbers. But would this save the situation? Is the beefing of the security around there enough to save clients who come to the mall, or even those who have their shops inside the mall? We'll find out. Business was going on as usual at the mall. Several patrons trooped in to shop. Memories of the incident were still fresh on their minds, questioning the mall's safety.
So for me, in fact, at the beginning, I got scared coming here because my mind took me back to an incident that happened in Kenya also, where one Ghanaian lost his life. So actually I was really scared coming here, but then I said, okay, let me give it a try, because there are certain things I usually buy here. So I decided to come here to shop, but I don't think I'll be coming here to spend much time like I used to do.
I had wanted to come with some friends. They raised that issue, and because of that I had to come alone. So I'm sure there will be a few people who will be hesitant to come here. I like coming to this mall because it's spacious and all, but as for security, I don't know what measures are in place. I don't know whether there are hidden cameras. I don't know whether there's somebody watching. Because once the thing happens, it's happened. And if there's no preventive measure, then anything can happen again.
I see 1 or 2 security men around. You think it's not enough?
When it comes to robbery, I don't think the presence of security can do anything much. Once they decide to rob, they can sneak in the shop, take the money and walk out.
Others disagreed.
I feel safe, very safe,
How do you see security around?
It's very tight now. I think they are working, they're cool with that.
So it means you keep coming?
Yep, I'm gonna keep coming.
For some businesses in here, the incident had no dire impact on their sales, but remained dissatisfied about security.
Sales is just normal. Even on Monday, we were expecting it to affect sales, but it was just normal. It was a holiday and the place was busy.
Generally, what do you make of security at the mall? Is it okay for you?
Well, I don't think it's the best. Because even at the car park, I'm expecting to see policemen and security guards around, but that's not always the case, especially in the evenings. I park my car at the car park, and sometimes there's nobody there to even check here. So I think they can do something about it. It can be better than that.
They should still intensify stuff, because at least we've been threatened before and it could happen again. At the car park, they are very just at the entrances, but sometimes there is heavy police patrols.
Was it after the incident?
No, way before the incident. It's not okay. They could do better.
The West Hills Mall officials, in response to the security concerns, told Joy News off camera they have intensified security after last week's robbery incident and has engaged the formed police unit of the Wager Police to patrol the premises. While CCTV cameras have been installed all over the mall, working 24 hours, officials also add that they are in talks with the Ghana Police Service to establish a permanent police post at the mall. Officials meanwhile say the Silverbird staff who was shot is well and back home, adding the trial of the 2 suspects arrested will start
trouble, sit down. If you are seated, lie down. If you are lying down, sleep over it till the morning. This is the time for the people of MPP to sleep over things, to mourn Adams. to have respect for our dead brother and for his family and children. It is the time for us to rise to the challenges of the implications of his death, horrific as it is. And so we launched the prayer and fasting week yesterday at our head office. Our leaders were there, including Nanado and our mother, Auntie Rebecca. And it is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, all over the country. And after 6, we congregate at our meeting places, whether it's the polling station or the constituency office or the regional or the national, to pray until 8. And we'll do this up to the 7th of June. And that day is the final funeral rites of our dead brother. So during this period, there should be no fighting, no WhatsApp talks, no media talks that are provocative. When you seek the guidance in the face of God, you cannot yourself then be at loggerheads.
It means you have to be in reverence.
Yeah, of course, you have to be, and you do it with humility, because God helps those who help themselves. If you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 20, Josephat talked about it, that my people are troubled, and so we must pray and seek God's guidance. And I believe sincerely that, as the MPP has said, that our battle is the Lord's. Indeed, it is still the Lord's. And at this time of such great challenge, those of us who are privileged to be alive, who are privileged to serve the party, must rise to the challenge and help us to reflect, to rebuild, and then to restore hope. It's a critical time, and as the mother of the party, I am telling all the children of the New Patriotic Party, you must heed the word of our leader. This is not the time for any more talk against each other. This is the time to stand and be counted as a leader, whether you are young or old. Stop the fighting and look at the people of Ghana. The fact that they are seeking us to stand and speak for the voiceless, to stand and be the checks and balances of Mother Ghana, that we may do the right thing by Mother Ghana.
Complete eradication of HIV/AIDS, reduction of mother-to-child transmission, and addressing stigmatization will be some of the top discussions at this year's Global Summit of Mayors in Accra. The mayors will be renewing their commitment to the 2014 Paris Declaration on HIV/AIDS.
In 2014 Paris Declaration, the mayors committed themselves to putting their cities to ending the AIDS epidemic. Those commitments include the UNAIDS 90 targets, which will result in 90% of people living with HIV knowing their HIV status. 90% of people who know their HIV positive status on antiretroviral treatment, and 90% of people on treatment with suppressed viral loads, keeping them healthy and reducing the risk of HIV transmission, as well as mother-to-child transmission. This year's summit will look at renewing these commitments.
Mayors signed the Paris Accord on HIV/AIDS. We will be looking at that. How far have we gone from where we were when we signed the accord? And so we will renew our commitment towards dealing with HIV/AIDS and its eradication.
Are there any special reasons why we are focusing on HIV/AIDS?
We are not focusing on just on HIV/AIDS, but HIV/AIDS is important. Because people are discriminated against when they have HIV. People have when they have HIV, they cannot be inclusive in so many things. So we are seeking that recognition for the elimination and getting to zeros in people with HIV, and then reduction in HIV from mother to child transmission, and then people with HIV, we want to reduce the numbers. So that's why it's one area of focus. We want to see how Accra is doing, how Lagos is doing, how New York is doing, how other cities in Africa and diaspora are doing. And then we look at other areas as well: socioeconomic development, youth employment, building skills for our youth, creating gender balance for our women.
The World Summit of Mayors is scheduled to take place in Accra from June 1 to 3, 2015. The summit is themed Economic Empowerment Between Africa and the Diaspora.
Well, let's go live now to the conference center and speak with my colleague Latif Idris, who is witnessing this particular incident. Now, Latif, who are those attending? Who are those in attendance at this conference?
Hello, Senator.
Yes, Latif.
Yeah.
Yes, who are those in attendance at this conference?
Yeah, Senator, you know, this is the fourth summit for the world mayors across the globe gathered here today. I mean, those in attendance has to do with the fact that we have our own mayor, who is the president of mayors across the globe. We have Ms. Cecilia Sacramento. She's the deputy mayor of Salvador. We have Mr. Oscar Gamboa Zunigi. He's the executive director of GAMAT. And some other world mayors. In fact, we have over 100 mayors gathered in here today. In our own country, we have our own vice president, Mr. Atani, in attendance. We have ex-president Jerry Rawlings is also here. And so these are the individuals who are here to grace the occasion here at the International Conference Center.
So what are the things being discussed this morning?
Yeah, top of the agenda today has to do with AIDS. You know, as I told you earlier on, cities leading sustainable human development and economic empowerment for Africa and the diaspora. Now, you can't achieve this development if you do not have healthy people. So what this summit seeks to do is to help the United Nations to drive out HIV on the African continent and those of African descent living in the diaspora. So top of the agenda here today has to do with how to tackle AIDS and then get it out of the African continent.
Okay, Latif, thank you very much for that update. That's Latif Idris reporting there from the conference center. We're taking a break here. When we come back, we'll bring you lots of business stories. Stay with us. Economist Dr. Kwame Banyuakon has called on the central bank to adopt a new and efficient formula for the calculation of base rates. Now, Dr. Kwame Banyuakon tells Abigail Adumakointri the unclear and inconsistent mode by which base rates are calculated in Ghana's fiscal regime has resulted in the fiscal imbalances and will deepen the woes of business owners in the country if not checked.
What makes we believe that the current base rate formula that we are using is appropriate and is also not contributing to the sustained high interest rate? Because once you're saying that the banks are looking at the cost of funds as a component of the base rate calculation, it also means that government budget deficits, which affects government borrowing, which then increases the T-bill rate, which is a representative rate as far as investors, both savers and lenders, are concerned. When somebody is going to ask for, to invest in fixed deposits, he's looking at the T-bill rate. So when government fiscal deficits leads to an increase in the T-bill rate, and it is then used as an input in the calculation of the base rate, technically what it means is that the government inefficiencies, which are leading to fiscal imbalances, which are creating problems for crowding out, is being passed on to the customer, because once the T-bill rate goes up, then to all intents and purposes will affect banks' base rates in general. So if I pass on the government's, let's say, inefficiency in quotes, the bank's own inefficiency, I put it in a formula and I get a figure, and the central bank says you cannot lend below it, I'm suggesting that maybe we need to rethink the formula. Because it's not the only way of calculating base rates. Others can tweak the current base rate figure. For instance, one of the components includes subtracting your other assets from your total assets as one of the denominators. I'm saying, why are we subtracting something from something? Is it because it works somewhere else, so it will work in Ghana?
Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Foundation, PEF, Nana Osebonsu, has advised small and medium enterprises to explore other avenues for credit apart from banks. He says with the banks charging astronomical rates on their loans, SMEs are better off turning to equity investors or capital ventures for funds to run their businesses.
SMEs often complain about the difficulties they encounter in accessing funds for their business. For them, the high interest rates of banks have compounded the challenge. While the Chief Executive of Private Enterprise Federation, PEF, is not oblivious of the challenge, he maintains accessing credit from banks is not the only way out.
As somebody said, the doomsday is going to go away one day. The huge borrowing is going to go away one day. The deficit are going to go away one day. But access to finance is going to be there forever. So unless you position yourself in a way that you can take advantage of, you wouldn't know what to do. Now it became obvious that you have insurance products that you can use as collateral. It became obvious that you have private equity funding that you can tap into without any additional interest costs. You have the alternate market that you can go and raise money. So all these things exist.
Banks, although willing to help SMEs contend, they are in to make profits as businesses.
Is the policy rate actually doing the work that it's supposed to do? Because if the policy rate is supposed to be the rate at which the central bank lends to the banks, and the central bank says, no, but when you need money, I'll lend it to you at the policy rate plus 3. So it comes out to what? 25. So why would a bank go and borrow at 25% and come and give it to you at 24 or 22? And so when you, as an SME, you approach a bank for money, don't go with the mentality that it is the responsibility of the banks to help small businesses grow. Yes, we know that, but it's not their defined corporate social responsibility. The business that the proposal you are bringing should make economic sense to the bank.
It is for such arguments that the PEF engaged the private sector and financial institutions to understand issues surrounding credit and the credit opportunities that exist for SMEs. The financial literacy seminar was also to provide a networking platform for small businesses. Abigail Adumakunchi for Joy News.
Well, time now for us to check out the very latest in the world of sports. Benedict also is standing by with that.
Today, my name is Benedict Owusu. Let's talk sports now. And the Ghana Football Association has confirmed the Black Stars will host the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Mauritius at the Accra Stadium. That will happen next 2 weeks. Now, the National Sports Authority and the Sports Ministry are expected to fix the dysfunctional scoreboard and floodlights at the 40,000-seater stadium before the continental assignment. Ibrahim Sanida is the spokesperson of the Ghana Football Association.
We made proposals to the ministry that we want to play the game in Accra, but there were concerns. The concerns were two things. One, the scoreboard. Two, the floodlights, whether they will be in good shape. We were hopeful that, the issue of the pitch would have been solved by then. We've seen the pitch over the past few days that it was going well again. We had seen all of those. So that was assuaged to a point. But the issue of surely the floodlights and the scoreboard was a matter for us. So it was a point that we raised, and we were given assurances that some work will be done towards it. So we are hosting the match in Accra.
So that was Ibrahim Sanida. He's the spokesperson of the Ghana Football Association. Now from the Black Queens, from the Black Stars, actually, let's talk the Black Queens. And their coach, Yusuf Basigi, is demanding for more improvements from his side despite their 3-0 win over Egypt in the second leg of their first round qualifier to the 2016 Olympic Games at the Accra Stadium. That game was played yesterday, and the Black Queens are on course to make their first ever appearance at the Olympic Games after winger Portia Boachi opened scoring in the second half before Jenna Yeyem and Elizabeth Addo sealed a 4-1 aggregate scoreline against the Lady Pharaohs. Head coach Yusuf Basigi wants to see an improvement in their play.
I already said that it was going to be difficult because they are not the bad side. They came with a tactical ploy, but we were able to upset them because for sure we knew how they were going to play because they wanted to sit back and then take us on counter breaks. But we also made sure that we protected the defense very well so that we'll be able to take them also on counter breaks, which exactly we did, and it worked for us because individually we are ahead of them individually, but tactically they are not bad, and then we combine both the tactical play and individual play.
Would you admit there is more work to be done going forward?
Oh, for sure. We have to still sharpen our attack. In fact, you could see that in the first half. We could have buried them in the first half, but we really squandered a lot of chances. And for sure, we are going to sharpen our attack, and then even the midfield and every department of our team.
Mori Senior High and Technical School in the central region of Ghana is in urgent need of attention. Now, lack of infrastructure and educational materials is crippling teaching and learning at the school. The technical unit of the school sometimes have to rely on a nearby school, that's Agri Memorial Senior High School, for practical work.
Most of the classrooms are overcrowded due to inadequate classroom blocks. Students of the technical unit focus only on the theoretical aspect of their program due to lack of equipment for practical lessons. According to teachers at the technical unit, the lack of equipment to train students continue to affect their performance. Part of an uncompleted 12-unit classroom block under construction by government serves as a girls' hostel, with the students using a classroom for dining because the school has no dining hall. To make matters worse, the school is battling with encroachment from people who have taken over parts of the school's land. The headmaster of the school, Justice Kojo Frimpong, called on stakeholders and benevolent organizations to help complete the work of government.
The school anchors on three strong practical departments: the technical department, the home economics department, and the visual art department. These are deprived because we are young, we don't have equipment, and it's also having a very big toll on teaching and learning. The teachers are trying. There's a nearby school, Agui, bigger. So some of the practicals are down there. Because of this partnership thing that government talks about, public-private partnership. If NGOs, individuals, philanthropists can partner government in helping us.
Let's go to the courts now. We are told an Accra Circuit Court has remanded 2 of the suspects accused of being part of a gang that robbed the West Hills Mall last week. The accused persons, according to police, entered the Silverbird cinemas at the mall where they fired gunshots, injuring 2 persons. My colleague Kwachi Afreniama is in court and joins us with more on this. So, Afre, what happened in court today?
The 2, Steven Ayoba, a shoemaker. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening to you, Afre.
The 2, Steven Ayoba, a shoemaker, and Sule Jare, who is a track pusher, have officially been charged with conspiracy to commit crime, robbery, and 2 counts of causing harm. And on the count of causing harm, that has to do with the 2 persons who were injured in the course of this alleged robbery. Well, the suspects, the 2, have pleaded not guilty to all the charges. But according to prosecutors, when they were arrested, the police retrieved a gun and a mobile phone which they allegedly stole from one of their suspects, which is worth $500 US. Interestingly, one of the suspects, that's Sule Jare, was acquitted just about a week ago of robbery charges by the same court. So presiding judge Francis Obri expressed shock when he saw him and the fact that he had reappeared before him for the same offense of robbery. And the 2 currently do not have a legal representative. Additionally, Justice Francis Obri has adjourned the case to June 5 for the trial to begin. And as you mentioned earlier, they've been remanded into police custody.
Do we know how far investigations have gone with regard to the other suspects? We were told there were some 6 suspects, and the police managed to arrest 2 of them. How far have the police gone with investigations?
Well, the other 4 are not in court. The police say that they are yet to arrest them, and that immediately they do, they put them before the court. Thank you very much, Kwachi Afreniama, reporting from the Accra Circuit Court. Now, before we go, the lack of a proper drainage system is making the lives of residents of Sanko in Winneba miserable. Now, flooding has become a common feature at Sanko. Residents are meanwhile appealing to government to, as a matter of urgency, construct proper drainage systems as part of the ongoing construction of the Sanko Kwekrom Ujobi Road.
Winneba has had its share of bad roads. Although residents are happy the main Sanko Kwekro road is under construction, they say a drainage system would help complete the project. The residents want government to pay attention to the infrastructural development of the area, as promised during the last election campaigns.
How this area floods when it rains is really life-threatening, so we need a bigger drainage system. We are therefore pleading with the government to provide us with a better drainage system.
The roads here are in a terrible state, so if authorities have started with the construction, they should complete it. The effort of authorities to construct the road is highly commendable, but they should also construct our drainage system for us.
The Winneba branch manager of the Ghana Highway Authority, Pa Ni Lamti, however, admitted the road connecting the adjoining communities has really been in bad shape for years and was hopeful the project will complete on schedule.
Was formerly under Ghana Highway Authority. Time in point, it came under the jurisdiction of Federal Roads. The road was in bad shape. Studies were carried out, and 22nd of November it was awarded. Consultants have to come in, so it took a revision course to 2013. Now I think the shape of this road is better than before. We are hoping and praying that government will embark on the vision that the people of Winneba had in demand of this road. To continue the road to Kwekrum, continue to Ojobi, and end it finally at Akoti.
At the time Joy News visited the area, the workers were on site working.
That'll be it for joining us today. Before we go, though, a recap of our major stories. Several passengers were Monday morning stranded following a nationwide sit-down strike by some commercial drivers in the country. Medical charges at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have been increased. Authorities at the Mori Senior High School in the Central Region have appealed for help to boost teaching and learning in the school. But that'll be it for the broadcast. For more news, do want to log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Kobna Chenchen. Have a good afternoon.
Hello. Part of an